Hello everyone, this is Oliver from Neo and today we are going to talk about high caffeinated tea. For this I brought two teas with me. One is the Gyokuro and the other one is the matcha. These two teas are known to be the most caffeinated tea in the green tea department, especially for Japanese green tea. So I just wanted to take the time to present you these tea a little bit closer and why they are so strong in caffeine. First, Gyokuro. Gyokuro is a shaded green tea, so what you can see is that it is shaded for 21 days. It makes it especially dark. So this tea here has been shaded for 21 days, which are covered just before 21 days. Often they have multiple layers, so what you can see is that you have in the first part of the 21 days, often around 13 to 14 days, the plant is covered with one layer, and for the rest of the time, so the last 7 days, it is covered with 2 or even 3 layers, really cutting out all the sunlight. And now, why does this tea have a special high amount of caffeine? So what in the shading happens, and this is also known for a little bit more foggy regions or regions which are quite hilly, is that the tea together with the chlorophyll, so with the production of the chlorophyll, the caffeine is produced. And as the shading still pushes the plant to continue this production of chlorophyll, because the plant still tries to absorb the sunlight, so by producing more chlorophyll, it enlarges the possibility to absorb more sunlight. With it, caffeine is also built up more, and that's why the Gyokuro is the leaf tea with the most caffeine. Just to show you a quick example of how different shading and unshading can be, is the color difference of the Gyokuro here on this side, and here I have brought you a simple bancha, so a bancha which is not shaded at all, also from a little bit lower leaves. And here on the right, the top 3 leaves of the Gyokuro. This is a Gyokuro Chamei-chin from Mr. Sakamoto. So this is really the main difference. And with the younger leaves, they have more caffeine, they are sweeter, they have more of the amino acids in them, making it a very greenish and beautiful tea. Good. So I suggest I just go into the brewing of this tea, and then I will explain you a little bit about the matcha. Good. Then, using some water, I put in 150 milliliters of water. That's my favorite amount. I have here 60 degrees water, so 140 Fahrenheit. And then I'll just close the lid and I'll leave it there for 2 minutes. Important about the Gyokuro is that it is really what the specialty is also of the shading is that as soon as the sunlight short before the harvest touches the leaves, the theanine, so the amino acids, they are turned into flavonoids or catechins, meaning that the plant turns from a more side of a sweet note to more of a bitter taste. When this happens, you get more this fresh and bitter notes out of the tea, but when you do the shading, this is inhibited and there's much less theanine or much less amino acids which turn over into catechins. So this bitterness is kept out of the the taste profile of the tea. The amino acids, they are much more present, they are much more dominant also in the taste, making the sweet, a little bit savory taste of this tea. So this is something which is really special about shaded teas, and especially Gyokuro, which is very long shaded tea over 20 days. Makes this tea a very sweet and savory in its taste profile, because the amino acid, they really trigger this so-called umami taste, and this is the mix of a little bit of a savory and sweet note. and is very common in the Japanese cuisine and especially linked to green tea. Okay, so now let's go. So this is now the gyokuro. So you can see a very beautiful jade green. So as soon as the leaves are so dark green, you can really see that the tea has a beautiful bright color and doesn't go into yellow but much more into a green color. What's special about the tea is really there's a smooth, kind of nearly a little bit of thicker texture, and now I have this umami taste. So it's like kind of a sweetness, but a little bit of a savoriness also coming in. So very beautiful, this tea. And what we have here is really kind of a no bitter note, this kind of round sweetness, and also a little bit of a grassiness coming in, but very, very slight. So the smooth sweetness of this tea is more dominant. Good, this is the gyokuro. Now we go over to the matcha. Matcha, most of you have known or have already heard of because it's a very famous and becoming a very famous tea, and it is nothing very special. It is just ground green tea, so you really have a fine powdered green tea. I can show you this by just mentioning you here or having a look at the tea. And you have different qualities. And what is important about matcha is really that you try to go for a more green or strong greenish color. Just to give you a comparison, I brought a second one with me of a low quality. So this is the high quality Okomidori matcha, and this is a typical Yabukita, but also lower quality matcha. So you can also have very good qualities of the Yabukita. And what you can see is really this color difference of these two matchas. So this is something pretty impressive. And what actually is the main difference between these two is that here you have much more of the amino acids present in the tea. So here this tea has a little bit less of amino acid, and what happens then is that actually the tea itself tastes more bitter. It's got a little bit less, more of a little bit this stale taste, not very interesting in terms of taste, but also on the other hand, the amino acids, they also have this calming effect, they have this de-stressing effect. So this is something which is very positive about high quality matcha, and this is really what you have to look for, is kind of this bright green color of the matcha itself. That's why I personally don't drink the lower quality and always go for the high quality. And how you do the matcha, it's very simple. So you should have a bowl, or here I have the typical and famous chawan. I just put the matcha through a sifter. What is good by sifting it is that you actually are able to get out the small grains which are forming with the humidity, the green tea really taking up. A little bit of the humidity, you just sift it through. Good. So this is done. Then you put in some water. And finally you have the matcha, which is ready, and what you can see is really this beautiful dark green color. So always go for a dark green, intense green color. This matcha here would have gotten a little bit more of a different note in terms of visual aspect. Here you got a little bit more of than a green grayish color, so always go for this intense green color. So matcha, for example, just as a comparison for you, what is important about matcha is that it is a round of a lower kind of cafe arabica, so around the amount of the caffeine which is in the arabica, but nevertheless the matcha has this advantage that it has a lot of amino acids in it, giving you, additionally to the waking you up experience, is also this calming effect of the theanine, of the amino acids, and this is something very special. And here, as I have a lot of amino acids in this tea, I expect to have a very smooth and sweet note. So let's go into it. And that's quite impressive. You have a really sweet, round and smooth note. You have a lot of this veggie note, also much more intense by the matcha than if I compare to the Gyokuro. So you can also see the color-wise infused tea, and here you really got the whole tea powder which you're drinking. And in terms of taste difference, and this one here definitely much more of a kind of a sweet round note with not as strong of a veggie note. Here when I drink this here, I really drink the whole leaf, and I really can see the difference of taste, smoothness. You have a little bit of a bitterness as well with this one here, but very slight. Meanwhile, with the umami of the Gyokuro, you really don't have this bitterness showing up at all.